A very pleasant good afternoon and welcome in to a brand spanking new edition of the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show. You're not going to believe this. Today's show is originating from Quaker Steak Lube and State College Goon. We are getting ourselves ready. Actually, what we're both trying to do is
make this 2 hours go super fast.
Yes, it's like, all right, let's not get overhyped before the game. I know we've talked about this. Welcome in again.
Hello.
Happy game day on this semifinal Thursday.
Hell yeah.
For Penn State football. Nittany Lions at Notre Dame just after 7:30, of course, tonight on ESPN. A lot of different storylines, a lot of different topics that we've talked about, that everybody's kind of talked this thing out throughout the week. How difficult is it, Goon? And I mean, you've talked about this before, but from the player's perspective, you are like, they woke up. I've got to believe this morning. It's like, all right, here, let's do this, and it's one of those things. Where when you have a big event at night like this, like laying around all day, not good for you. Obviously, you don't want to be out, this isn't the day you want to get your super good lift in. But it is kind of that fine line up until you get into the game, the practice routine and head over and all of that. How difficult is that?
Yeah, the waiting around. I mean, the bigger the game, the more waiting. It absolutely is horrible. Their guys are sitting in South Florida. I mean, I got to say this off the get. I really, truly believe that the guys nowadays are more mature than we were back in the day.
No, it's just mature than you were.
I'm just saying. But,
difficult.
I mean, I don't know what they do. I mean, do they take the cell phones away from them? I've heard teams take the guys' cell phones away the night before the game to get your head in the game. Yeah. But you can't be sitting there all day and just to go back to normally what we would do back in the day, which I'm sure they're doing now, is, your morning breakfast. You're probably going to have a church services, pregame meal. You're probably going to have 2 meetings throughout the day and watching the same film that you've been watching for 9 days. And it's just like, you're just sitting there like, we got it. As a player, you just want it to go, like, let's get it on. Like, enough of the waiting, this and that, yada, yada, yada. I mean, we've been waiting 2 more days than Notre Dame has, with the New Orleans incident down there last week. So we've had 2 more days than they have to rest, which is a great thing. I'm sure that we are just chomping at the bit, as Notre Dame is too. I mean, they just want to get this game on, and it does stink watching. I mean, during the season, there was at least a noon game and then a 3:30 game.
Yeah.
Like, I always remember watching like other Big Ten games and, getting a little, one is seeing guys you're going to play or who you've played already. And also you see guys that you maybe grew up with or you knew through recruiting and stuff like that. Yeah. So that was always a cool thing. But there's nothing. I mean, they're watching Young and the Restless right now. I mean, I hope they don't have TV on, like, listening to all the talking heads and stuff like that, which I don't think they do. But, yes, I can pretty much guarantee you they're all sitting in their rooms chomping at the bit. Like, I wish they could close their eyes and wake up and it's 3 o'clock and we're going over to the game.
I don't know. You think some of them have got to be tuning in, no? Just to see what's being said, what's being
talked about. Yeah. I mean, what else are they going to be watching? I mean, that's the thing. Now, there is also, some guys get into the music, just sit there and just chill and listen to music, get into the game. But I know Joe he wanted you off your feet, but he did not want you off your feet. How does that sound? Does that sound stupid? But, he wanted you up walking around because you just didn't want you laying in bed. And that's what you do when you're in a hotel, where you're just going to lay in that bed. You don't want you laying there for 10 hours, like waiting for this game and then get up and go, because you're going to be lackadaisical, like slop, where he had you up and around church, meals, meetings, special teams meeting, defense. Coaches can find times for meetings, trust me.
Yeah. Well, but even that, so the mental component of it, I also think is fascinating, because I do think, you want to be dialed in, you want to be focused. I don't know that that's healthy and good to do for like the 12 hours leading into the game. Like I think a nice game of cards. I just know with the wrestling team, and there's different dynamics involved with all of this. I understand.
And every guy is different. So as you well know about wrestlers,
sure.
you got 10 wrestlers starting. There's 10 different attitudes.
Yeah, but so I do think there's something to be said for. All right, let's find a distraction. So that it's not all I'm consumed by or thinking about here leading into the game. I mean, I think there's such a thing as over preparation and over analyzing it. And again, not so much maybe from a coach.
I'm 100% with you. You are right with the over and like you're overdoing it. Like that's just let's get out there. And as a player, you're just sitting there like, and the coaches get that feel. They'll be like, they're ready. You know what I mean? They're ready. These guys have cell phones. They got tablets. They got they can watch the film on their own. They can watch a show. Everybody's different. Everybody is different. I give you my couple stories here, Goon story time. My first start was at Maryland in 1993, and I've told the story before. I was literally just throwing up from like 3 o'clock. It was a night game. I was all churned up and all nervous and all that. We go out and win 70-7 or something like that, And then you fast forward 3 years where you started 40, some games, and I just remember like my senior year. I remember like somebody had to be like, get me in the locker room, like get up. And because I would just be like, come off of the practice, not the practice field, but come off of the pregame warm-ups, go back to the locker room. And it's just like, you just want to relax. Some guys get churned up. Some guys are yelling and screaming, doing the church revival, getting everybody jacked up. The other guys are yelling and cursing and this. And then there's some people who are just like, I'm good. I'm ready to go. I know what I got to do. I do remember, honest to God, I would just lay back in my locker and just like, not meditate, but I would just chill to the point where I would sleep. And this is a half hour, 20 minutes before a game. And then like 3 years before my first start, I couldn't hold anything down. I was throwing up. But again, it goes back to the C word that we talk about all the time, and that's confidence. I had confidence in my abilities and my team's ability that we were ready to go, and our coach's ability. That we were ready to go. There's nothing more we could do. The old saying back in the day is the hay is in the barn. Can't do nothing about it now. What we got to go with what we got. And we're going to go out there and make it happen.
Yeah.
And another thing, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I don't know for a fact if James brings these guys to a different hotel the night before. I would highly doubt it only being there for 2 or 3 nights. So Joe, and I'm pretty sure normal bowl games, James has done this in the past, but again, these are not normal bowl games. This is not a normal Orange Bowl. A normal Orange Bowl is you're down there for 7 days having dinners, luau's, parties, this and that. You're having a beach party for the players, making it a pretty cool environment. We've been down there. I think we've only been there for a day and a half so far. It's a business trip. It's just like going out to the West Coast, in my opinion, how we're treating these. And that's how Notre Dame is treating it too. And that is the old fanfare of the bowl games are gone. And I would be interested to see if we win and if we lose, how other teams handle that next week's game. Do they make it a whole week bowl game, or are they going to treat it like I'll get there Saturday for the Monday night game? So, but that's the thing. Joe would have us at a different hotel the night before a game because everybody and their mother is down there. I guess I shouldn't say and their mother, because their mother and fathers are all there. Their families, they're there, and people want to see you and be around you. And Joe's thing was, it's game day, night before the game, get away from that, get away from all this distraction. We just need you worried about the football game. So I don't know if James put him in a different hotel or whatnot, because those hotels are crazy. So I always just say Nick Dawkins, because he's, I'm the closest one to him.
Yeah.
He's the closest one to me, I should say, that if he goes down in the lobby of that hotel that they're staying in, and all the alumni association is there, and all these different tours. So if Nick goes down there to get a soda or a bottle of water, he's going to get mauled by 100 people. That's what James doesn't want that. He probably has them on a whole different floor, up in the conference centers, and we're going to have everything there. Don't go down there. You don't want to be around. As much as you want to see your mom and your dad and your brothers and sisters, you got to get into play, and that's what you got to be worried about right then and there.
Yeah. I don't know. The whole that whole lead up to the game is just always fascinating to me. Just trying to think about.
But that's why the Illinois game was such a cluster.
Yeah,
because it is about routine, and you say about your wrestlers. Everybody has their routine. Some guys like this for lunch, some guys like that for lunch. And it also depends on the time of the match or the game. We had breakfast. Yeah. We had the same breakfast, whereas now I believe that they have buffets and stuff like that. But before the season, when you're on a traveling team, you got a little note in your locker. What do you want for a night game meal? So that your pregame meal would be in the afternoon. So you got chicken, steak, or lasagna. And then for breakfast was pancake, French toast, or eggs, or and it was just like you picked that, and that's literally what you got for all 7 of your away trips, depending on time of the game. And it's a routine. Yep. You get into that routine. You leave at 3:00 in the afternoon on Friday for a night game. Okay, you get to the event, you get to there, you have a big dinner, you have a meeting, and this and that. You go upstairs, you watch television with, you have a late night snack, you go to bed, you wake up, you have continental breakfast, and everything is regimented. That's why that Illinois game in 1994 was just such a cluster because of how out of whack we were. So I don't know who was one of the crazier wrestlers about pregame, how they got to stick to that pregame routine. If you don't want to say their name, I'm just saying.
Well, no.
Now imagine just knocking them completely off of that pregame.
Yeah, it has happened where different. There's circumstances that occur, or where either a couple of matches go more quickly in front of you than you're expecting, and it is a little bit of a tricky thing. I mean, I know like they have it down to literally a science at Penn State in terms of how they prepare and why they prepare when they do with each guy, getting the blood flowing and getting the warm-up routine. Because, again, you don't know, and especially, my God, with the lineup they have this year, all right, well, we're 3 weight classes away. All right, well, that could be 21 minutes.
11 seconds.
More likely, you could be out there in about 2.5 minutes. So, trying to get, that, in all seriousness, that is a difficult thing to get yourself adjusted to. Is, all right, I got to be ready to go if I'm called upon in a couple of minutes, but also be ready to go if it's 10 minutes from now. And, we keep talking about all of the different storylines, and at the end of the day, again, it's going to be one team or the other make some plays in some key moments. It's going to be turnovers. It's going to be a big play or two in special teams. It's going to be a big sack. I was thinking about this on my way in because I am one of those that puts the fanatic in fan, and I'm just thinking about that first offensive play. I do this with every game, and I don't know why I do it because it's ridiculous.
You mentioned it Tuesday.
Yeah, I do this with it. I'm thinking about even from the Steelers, and I think they have next to no chance of beating the Ravens. I will be so
you're playing coy.
No, I will be unbelievably surprised. It is rare that I go into a playoff
Lamar
game
playoffs. That's all I'm going to say.
Thinking that my team has virtually no shot. That is the case with this particular game. But I still think about that first play, and man, what players visualize. All right, this is, and I'm presuming James Franklin. They have that set list of the plays at the start of the game, so everybody kind of knows. I've been spending way too much time thinking about this, but do you risk? The risk-reward thing is always fascinating to me, just when it comes to coaching in general. Like we talk about, James Franklin, I want him to be aggressive. I love the aggressiveness of the team. If it's the second quarter and it's a scoreless game and it's 3rd and 1 out near midfield, I don't want the aggressiveness. I want you putting Notre Dame deep. I want a really good punt by Riley. I want Notre Dame to have to drive 90+. I get it, man. It's tempting, and if you convert, I don't want it. I'm just me personally. No, punt that ball away. I want to be aggressive to a point. That first play, Do you have that aggressive mentality? You have to believe Notre Dame, just like Penn State's thinking with Notre Dame. I'm thinking this from both sides. Like, how effective could play action be? The problem is the risk reward here. If you get sacked on that first play, or even worse, if you throw an interception, the ball gets bumped out, or the secondary just matches up well with your receivers, you try to get the ball there, and it's a turnover to open the game. I mean, you talk about, you hit that play, and you feel good about the way you practiced it all week. Man, that could help set the tone. If that goes the other way, whereas you run the ball, like even if they stop you for a 2-yard loss, okay, 2nd and 12. Like, it's not momentum, yes, but not like, whoa, here we go type of stuff. I don't know.
I got one for you.
I'm really interested.
Remember the 97 game when we played Michigan here? We were number 1 in the country. We played Michigan, who was like 4. I think North Carolina played somebody else, and it was like 2 top 5 matchups in one day.
Yep.
You remember that?
I do.
And I guess that Joe and Franny had a little thing where they would try to do tone for the game, and they tried to run a fake reverse, like long pass down the middle, and Michigan was just sitting on it, waiting for it. Did not buy the reverse, did not buy the fake reverse, and the McQuarrie just got absolutely destroyed by the defensive end for like a 15-yard loss. And it was like, okay, well, that's the momentum. Every bit of mojo we had going into that game is gone. And now Michigan's defense is sky high, and we never recovered from that in that game. So, yes, I'm with you. A lot of teams like to do that just to try to set the tone and take the pressure off your guys a little bit, let you work on the routine all week on the script and stuff like that. You'll know the script Tuesday or Wednesday, and I do have to give you another Goon story. I probably have told you before, but the script plays, 20 plays in a row.
Yep.
What are our 20 favorite plays that we have this week? You run right down, we would do it. But if you got to like a 3rd and long, and then the third play was like,
sure, you're
trap, and it's just like, no, we're gonna, depending on, but they put the little marker there and they go back from there. So in '94, we were killing people so bad. And I may have even told you this before, but like Franny would come into the locker room and he'd be like, what are you going to say? We're up 35-0 on USC or Iowa 35-0 in the first quarter. And he would just be like, all right, we're going to run the script backwards. And they would start to play 20 and they worked their way back up just because they didn't want to coach no more because they had already melted in because we were up by 35. It was that type of stuff was great.
Yeah.
But, there's definitely our teams that do that. And Joe and Franny were definitely one of them, trying to hit a big play right at the get, just trying to get the momentum. I mean, like the Rose Bowl play, like none of us blocked anybody. That was just a pitch to the right. That was our standard, pitch. Off tackle to the right, this and that. And, that would get, we could block it. We could get a couple yards on it, but that was not supposed to go 83, but it did. Again, that was our nerves and their nerves. And you got to take that into play too, because I think that Joe and Fran, when I say Joe and Fran Ganner being our offensive coordinator, is that there are nerves involved. And there are guys who are so churned up. I mean, you think about, if you hear all week, you got to stop the run, you got to stop the run, you got to stop that run. And they run a play action pass, and you're a middle linebacker or a safety, and you're churned up to go stop that run.
Yeah.
And you go, and you're, oh God, no. And it's a fake handoff and a play action pass over the middle. It happens. And depending on how aggressive defensively teams are, that's how offenses will make those calls and make those plays. But, again, these guys are going to be churned up, but guess what? By play 2, it's over, because it's just like, I don't care what level you play. You play the high school level, Jeff. You try it out here, but that game, in a game, you could have all the nerves in the world. You get that first hit in, you're in the game. You know what I mean? You're in it and ready to go.
Yes. However, so this is the one thing when I talk about how you handle this during the day, and to your point with the pregame routine, I think sometimes it is players think, all right, well, this is a bigger game, so I've got to do, it means a little more today. even though, right, I preach to
Put
yourself all the time.
Put this into perspective. You're the only game in the country.
Yes.
You're going to have 100 million people watching.
You are now two games away. I mean, I think more so from the ultimate prize, a college football, the thing that every kiddo that's ever played football in a backyard, let alone suited up, has dreamed about. You can't help but envision, man, what it would be like. I do think it is possible, and I've seen it happen in wrestling, where a guy wrestling for the national title, like you get yourself so psyched up, and it's not even that you're doing a different routine. Like at Penn State, obviously, like they're not going to go out and, all right, it's the national semifinals, so our pregame routine is going to change, and this is what we're going to do today to make sure. No, they're doing the same thing. But if you normally are, all right, 50%, I'm going to jog through. Like there's a part of you, I think, that it's like, all right, even if you're not conscientiously doing it, it's like, here we go, and you're doing 75, 80%. And that fatigue, like you can tire yourself out mentally and or phically before the game begins, or as the game wears on, you start to realize, oh my God, I don't have the energy I normally do.
What's your example of that?
Nerves is a bigger deal.
I will go to my grave knowing this, watching it, seeing it firsthand. 2012 Ohio. Bill O'Brien's first ever football game as the head coach of Penn State. We had just come off the scandal. It was our first game back. We're playing Ohio, who was a senior-laden team. Our guys got off the bus at 9:30 in the morning for a noon game. And I'm telling you, the stadium was packed. And our players are so hyped up at 9:30 in the morning. 2:30 in the afternoon, when that game's about ready to end, we were done.
Well,
we had expended every ounce of energy.
I'm not going to sit here and tell you definitively this is the sole reason David Taylor lost to Kyle Dake, but in Taylor's junior year, the NCAA finals, David warmed up. Again, it was the same routine, but like he was just understandably ramped up. And in talking with the coaches, like you could see, like he was just like overly geeked up about it, and he did not have the same David Taylor energy that we normally see. Now, Kyle Dake and his style obviously had something to do with it. Again, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that the warm-up routine is solely responsible for that result, but do I think genuinely it contributed to it? I absolutely do. And again, that David Taylor, it was by the time he was a junior in college, he had won every youth level tournament, every high school accolade you could have won. He had already had a Hodge Trophy under his belt. I mean, this is a guy that had been in every big spot, including 2 previous national title bouts, and had mixed results in those, so knew the difference, all of that. And so, for all of these guys, this is a new experience. It's a different experience. And, oh, come on, they know the routine. They know, there's routine. There's knowing what you need to do. There's also, I woke up at 3:30 this morning, and partly because of the game, partly just because of other things I have going on. I'm like, oh my God!
You know how many texts I got this morning?
A late night, and I cannot get back to
sleep. Do you know how many texts I got this morning? Game day.
Yeah, it is.
One buddy called me last night. He's like, "You think I'm supposed to sleep tonight? I can't sleep tonight," and that's the worst part. As a player, it's easy because you're going to have an opportunity. Like I told you when I was coaching. And then now I'm a fan. I got nothing to do with it. And I get so involved in it, and I don't have that, release.
This is the other funny thing, that this is just where my mind goes on these things. So, I have a 9-year-old who is
the man.
Just very in the very novice stages of getting into competitive athletics. And, we are literally tipping our toe in the water here. But even with that, and again, we're in novice division of wrestling tournaments with kids that are all just learning to wrestle. And I mean, I'm not going to sit here and tell you I get it knots. I don't. I'm not. There's no anxiety to it. But during the match, I'm like, all right, man, I want to see. Like I do. I want to see him do well. I want to see him just for his sake. It's not. I want him to be satisfied. Can you imagine being a parent of any of these guys, but the starters in particular, like this? I know you're proud, you're excited, and all of that, but there's also got to be part of you that is just anxiety ridden. You don't want your kid to be the one that makes the mistake that ends up, the other team capitalizes. You want your kid to be the guy that goes out there and gets the interception or gets the big sack. You don't know how it's going to go. Nobody does, and that's the other just kind of fascinating little subplot to this is everybody. Or I think probably everybody that's played in this game, you these days, I think always, but these days you envision. All right, we're positively thinking about we're going to throw. If you're the quarterback, you're going to make the right reads. You envision yourself playing. If you're Abdul Carter, envision yourself completely healthy. You're smacking the Riley Leonard and company around. So it's all. Well, then you get out there and something inevitably is not going the way you're envisioning it. How do you handle that? Again, these guys are mature. They're competitive. They know that it's not going to go their way, but it hasn't not gone their way in a national semifinal game against another big-name program that's playing outstanding football at this stage of the season. I think that stuff is just it's fascinating because it brings it back to backyard, football.
I remember
just find a way, regardless of what else is happening around.
Remind me of what Nate Carr Sr. said to me when I asked about is anybody talking crap, and when the wrestlers are getting together, and he goes, "You got 100 teammates on a football team, and that's what you rely on is your teammates."
Yeah,
when you're wrestling, you're one-on-one out there. You ain't nowhere to hide. And that's what he was saying to me. But, you got to have faith in your teammates, too. I mean, you don't want to be that guy. I mean, the reason why people are so good at football is because I don't want to let my friends down, my teammates down, my brothers. If I'm the one who got beat on a play, people ask, why were you so good in 1994? I was like, they knew what we were running. We didn't run anything. We didn't reinvent the wheel. We weren't running an offense that no one had ever seen before. We just went one-on-one and won all of our individual battles on each play. You did your job. The play is going to work. But once somebody breaks down, the play is not going to work. So, football is easy. Like you got to have the faith and trust in your brothers that they're going to have your back and you're all going to make it happen. But you do not want to let them down. Hell yeah.
Another thing that
I
think
churned
is
up, Ironhead.
Interesting to watch. So I
got like a half a nail left over here.
I'm on a couple of friend chats, and inevitably throughout this season and other seasons, and this is what I love about fans in general. Not Penn State and not my friend specific, and I'll do the same thing where it's like, all right, I want my offensive coordinator and my offense to be innovative, to create unique opportunities. And then every time there is a so-called trick play that doesn't work, why in the world would you do that? We've been running the ball effectively all day. Well, this game, again, you just get the feeling it's going to come down to a big play or a big turnover or, again, a special teams play. Well, sometimes, again, if you've practiced that trick play and it's working over and over and everybody feels good about it, it still doesn't guarantee it's going to work in the game. And, again, if it does, momentum builder, here we go. Everybody's feeling really good. Yep, this is the way we practiced it. And if it doesn't go your way, again, it can completely reverse the momentum. Andy Kotelnicki has shown, and I like it, but at least in my friend group, I'm in the minority. I like let's get creative here and there. I don't want every other play to be, all right, let's try the double reverse and then the double reverse with a pass. And then, no.
You want to set your stuff up.
A couple of plays set up throughout the course of the game. Yeah, I like that. this feels like it could be a game where if you convert a play like that, that could be your game. If you get stopped or it results in a big play the other way, that could be your game. I don't know. Probably overanalyzing it as we are wont to do at this stage.
We can do that here. We don't have to play tonight.
The game, but what else are you going to do in the hours leading up to it? Again, Penn State, Notre Dame, we are getting very, very close. About 5 hours away from kickoff. We'll take a break here. Chris Bucanani, the Dear Booch, is going to join us via the Zoom.
We have rules here.
When we come back, we're getting fired up here at Quaker Steak and Lube. By the way, if you're looking for a place you still don't have plans to do a lot worse than Quaker Steak and Lube, come on down, check out the game. It'll be on the TVs down here. You can enjoy great food, great beverages. They have the best service you're going to find in our area. Come on down and enjoy Penn State's run to the national championship here.
Now through Monday.
And Lube.
Every night.
Fair enough.
Right?
Can do a lot worse. We're coming right back with Chris Bucanani on the other side of this timeout.
Coast into fall with a new Kia from Lion Country Kia. Right now, get a 24 Kia Seltos for 5.25% APR for up to 48 months. A new Sportage plug-in hybrid at 0.9% APR. Check out our 23 Sorrento hybrid for as low as 4.5% APR. And don't forget, all 2023 and 2024 Kias come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. Stop in and meet with one of our sales experts today and coast into fall at Lion Country Kia. We want to see you in a Kia.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Get our Best Wings USA, signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
I'm the Modelo Recruiter, and I'm looking for fans with good hands and great speed. The ones who stay focused and never miss a play. They go the distance on game day, even when their team is away. I'm always watching, always looking to reward more full-time fans. Because football isn't really football without you.
A lot has changed about State College. One thing that hasn't is W.C. Clark's Coffee Roasters on 234 East Calder Way. 30 different varieties of specialty coffee beans sourced from over 25 countries and roasted with love each morning in Happy Valley for over 45 years. They'll ship their fresh roasted coffee from their doorstep to yours. Order online at statecollegecoffee.com. That's statecollegecoffee.com.
Two of the top names in local printing have combined to serve you better. King Printing of State College has merged with theprinters.com, forming one of the 400 largest printers in America. Combining traditional offset printing and digital workflow techniques, theprinters.com can print, assemble, package, and ship to anywhere in the world, all with the same high quality customers have known and trusted for over 50 years. Buy local and save. Get started today at theprinters.com.
Lusk & Associates, Sotheby's International Realty proudly presents the introduction of our new State College office at 314 South Borough Street in State College. At Sotheby's International Realty, we advertise locally, nationally, and internationally, bringing the best of advertising and promotion to each and every one of our properties, big or small. Call now.
With a Timber Kids savings account, you can start to save money, earn prizes, and teach your kids the value of savings. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. Building futures is what we do at TFCU.
You really need to belong to a credit union. You belong at TFCU, Timberland Federal Credit Union, a credit union you can grow with.
Get up and get going with the Happy Valleys 98.7 The Fox, the Goon and Ironhead.
Oh, those guys. And today it is the Goon, the Ironhead, and the Booch. Chris Bucanani joining us via the Zoom link. Fancy technology and all. Booch, I thought we'd just spend a little time with you, maybe the next half hour to hour and a half, really analyzing what happened with Penn State basketball last night.
Bummer. Real bummer. Listen,
Ironhead,
we had to let everything be right with the world heading into tonight. So, honestly, thanks so much for Mike Rhodes and the boys for falling on that grenade. We all appreciate it.
Yeah, that was brutal. All right, let's listen to you and Landon yesterday. Very entertaining program. Had fun listening to that.
Yeah, did not discuss this game for 1 second because I heard you guys earlier talking about overload of analysis. Yeah. We did not plan that at all. We really thought we were going to spend another hour talking about Penn State and Notre Dame, and I forget what happened. He mentioned, like, do you put mayonnaise on a cheesesteak or something? We got going, and both of us realized we're done. Mentally, we're done. We've got nothing left to talk about.
Well, let's get back to the mayonnaise. Well,
I am curious for your take on this.
Who brought that up?
When?
The Annapolis kid?
Yeah, so he does, just to be clear, neither one of us puts mayonnaise on a cheesesteak. I don't put mayonnaise on anything.
Okay, good.
But he talked about how there are some people, I'm sure you're aware of this, Goon, there are some people who will order mayo on their cheesesteak, which I'm sure is offensive to your sensibilities.
Absolutely, they do. I hear about it all the time, and they're like, oh, and then I'm okay. You want to put some lettuce, tomato, onions on there, and maybe some ham and cheese, a little capicola, call it a cheesesteak hoagie. I'm okay with that.
Sure. Okay, fine.
Okay with that.
Not a cheesesteak, though. Whatever. My point was eat what you want. Yeah, eat what you want.
Well, yeah, I do. By the looks of me, you can tell. I do that already. I don't need to.
Not an issue.
You eat a lot of wings from Quaker Steak and Lube.
Absolutely.
Not something.
I swat a lot of pizza in my day, as well as a lot of aggression.
Booch, it really is. Let me ask you, because I literally purposely scheduled my day today so that I had some meetings that I had to attend and get some station business taken care of. I intentionally did it because I don't want myself, and this is how ridiculous I am, but I'm like, I don't want to be sitting around just thinking about this game. I'm going to drive myself crazy. Now, every meeting I've gone to, what have I talked about the entire time while we're talking about the station and, possibility of advertising? Well, yeah, it's the game and a little bit of wrestling thrown in. So it really is now at the point, like, let's get this game underway. I just want to see how this thing unfolds now.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I relentlessly stacked my schedule all week so that I would have no downtime whatsoever. But it's got to be disorienting for you, Ironhead. And I've talked about this on Obligatory a little bit, about how I have realized through the course of these playoffs how much my internal clock is set around Penn State football and how much it messed with my head to have a home game and the crowd coming in for it and a tailgate. Then I kick everybody out the door and my body's telling me, okay, time to go get the Christmas tree and get started for Christmas. Now, Christmas Eve is 3 days away. How weird is it for you to not have everybody come up to you and the first 10 questions out of their mouth in January aren't about wrestling?
Yeah, for sure. And the challenging part for me, because, this is all about me, I am a early to bed, early to rise person, generally speaking. Like, it is not uncommon at our house for all three of us to be out by 9 o'clock or thereabouts. So part of last night, I'm like, well, I'll stay up and watch this basketball game because it'll get me a little acclimated, because not only do I have to stay up tonight to watch the Penn State football game, but Penn State Wrestling tomorrow night doesn't start until 8 o'clock. Now, with the way the wrestling team is...
that'll be done by 8:19.
Yes, that could be over by 9.
With halftime.
Even with TV coverage tomorrow anyway. But, and then, I end up turning that game off at halftime. I couldn't take it. And so this is a battle. And for me, again, I mentioned earlier, I woke up early, and it happens not infrequently for me. And when I wake up, I just, more often than not, I have a tough time getting back to sleep. So I am dreading already tomorrow because I will not fall asleep during the game. But
we win this game, I'll call to wake you up.
Oh, my body
I'll still be rocking.
is going to be rebelling. And it's one of those things, you know, I go back over the years. I don't mind. I can justify, all right, I'm exhausted, I'm miserable. Like, I'm one of those people that when I don't sleep well, I get, I have a short fuse.
Jeff, you're not miserable.
And correct. I mean, the win will help, but it gets intensified if I stay up late. And this has happened over the years with the Pirates in particular, sometimes the Steelers, and yeah, sometimes Penn State football. But if you stay up late and your team wins, it's like, all right, well, that I can justify that. That's it. Like, yes, that was worth it. When they lose, it just makes me that much more cantankerous, not just for the next morning, but for the next several days. And now it's like, I stayed up late, I screwed up my routine, and for what? For no good purpose. So for all of those reasons, among some others, Penn State just has to win the game tonight. Just has to.
I accept your thesis as presented.
I think James Franklin ought to use it somewhere in his pregame speech.
There you go.
You know, Ironhead staying up again.
There's a lot of our fans. Well,
I mean, don't want him to be cantankerous tomorrow, do you?
Cantankerous
Abdul Carter says no.
Cantankerous.
I'm going to go play, and I'm going to play well.
I hope he plays.
He's playing.
I know. I hope he plays well. We hope it all goes well.
Goon, do you know what story I thought of earlier today? And there's been so much stuff going on this week, so much going through your head. And to Ironhead's point, you're working in this business right now. You got a lot of different things going on that you got to be in charge of.
Ever, by the way.
Yeah, for sure. I just thought of this morning. Do you remember? Certainly you must, because you were on the staff at the time. I heard you talking about it on the way in here. When we went down to the Orange Bowl the last time, that was when Deion Butler got lost out on the jet ski. He got lost at sea. Did he not?
Yeah, the jet ski ran out of gas, and he was out there, man, and he didn't like the water. He didn't know how to swim, so he was just scared. And they had to get another jet ski to go out and get him.
Yeah, he was this was like our star wide receiver. He's like literally stranded in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean.
Oh yeah, not in
the middle of it, but you couldn't see shore from where Deion Butler was on his wave runner or whatever it was.
How the bowl trips have gone awry now. We don't really have those type of things now. Now it's just business trip, get down there, go.
Yeah,
and boom,
sure,
boom.
Sure.
So you don't really have that. So because I was thinking about during the week, like neither team has had any kind of acclimation to the weather down there. But I don't know if you've looked, but it's mid to low 60s is the high. So yeah, I'm not really worried about that aspect of it, because that was always been an aspect of when you play in the Orange Bowl is the heat. And that Orange Bowl we played Florida State in, I mean, it wasn't overly hot, but it was humid enough that you guys were dehydrating and cramping up throughout that game.
Yeah.
Specifically more Florida State guys than Penn State guys, if you recall. That was one of Joe's pet peeves, was he was always worried about that, getting those guys ready to go. So
we'll stay in on the theme and dragging this thing back to Penn State and Notre Dame, because I won't spend the whole time talking about cheesesteaks in the NBA in the 80s and 90s like I did with Tangwall yesterday.
Tangwall know about the 80s and 90s.
He's you know what? He's an old soul, man. He's an appreciator of the league when it was good.
He is, but you gotta learn him a little bit.
We're working on it.
Oh my God! He's just so amazed that sometimes, his innocence is cute.
So you remember, Goon, and again, I can bring it up now because in hindsight we won, but a big turning point in that Orange Bowl, which Penn State mostly held control over, was when we let up a punt return for a touchdown.
I watched it yesterday.
Yep. Yeah, rough.
I was like, that's how Florida State wins all of their games. They have a huge special teams play. And who does that remind you of last week?
Yep.
Exactly. And so if there is one, I think maybe under scrutinized X factor in this game, it's Penn State's self-scout over the last couple weeks on its special teams. because special teams has been kind of like there's been a little bit in both columns, positive and negative for Penn State under the first-year new coordinator, Joe Lorig. There have been some really nice plays. Overall coverage and containment has been pretty good, not perfect. We let Boise flip field position on us on a kick return in the Fiesta Bowl. But you think about the Minnesota game, there were a few special teams disasters in that game. And Notre Dame has very disciplined, very well-coached special teams. And so if I am Marcus Freeman, I'm going back through the tape of Penn State this season, and I am looking for opportunities where I can steal a possession or change field position or change momentum or 2 or 3 out of those 3 by making a big play on special teams. So I think Penn State needs to understand that, anticipate it, and go back and say, all right, let's watch our own tape from the perspective of the Notre Dame staff and ask ourselves, where are the exploits and how can we patch them up? So I hope that's been part of the preparation between the Fiesta Bowl and this game. Although speaking about that game against Boise, another thing that I don't think we really talked about all that much was our special teams coordinator the past few years, Stacy Collins, went back to the Mountain West territory. He was Boise's special teams coordinator. And we brought back a lot of the same personnel this year. So if there was anybody who was going to be able to find an exploit at Penn State, you would think it would be somebody who had been in the building and knew all our personnel and kind of understood more or less at least how James from a high level approaches that aspect of the game. And they were not able to find a way to, take advantage too much. So that encourages me, but I'm watching the special teams matchup tonight because I do think it's important for Penn State.
And a game that is this equal, that usually is the determining factor.
Yeah, for sure.
Sorry.
No, that's special teams and turnovers. Like this has the feel of a game that's going to turn on either a turnover or a big play, one way or the other with special teams. The other thing that just to stay with your kind of self-scouting element, I'm really curious to see. Notre Dame is a really good blitzing team. If you watched Landon's breakdown, like that is one of the things that they are really, really good at. Boise State, while Penn State's offensive line overall has played well and has held up well, Boise State got home with some blitz packages that left Penn State's offensive line confused. Obviously, Notre Dame's looking at that. Penn State obviously is looking at. I'm really curious to see the adjustments that Penn State makes, maybe any variations that Notre Dame has to its packages that are already out there. Again, a lot of games within the game, but I think that is one of them. I guess I kind of presume that Notre Dame's going to get home, at least a time or two, somewhere over 4 quarters. But generally speaking, can Penn State pick that up? And I think, the running backs are going to be a key part of that. There's times where you're going to need to keep a Katron Allen in there, and he's got to do an effective job of picking up the blitz. Now, it's not every play, not every passing play. Obviously, you want to get the backs involved in the passing game. There's a lot of little things that are going to play into how this game actually gets played out tonight. But I think that's one of the more fascinating things to watch is in key moments, how does Penn State's offensive line hold up against the blitz packages that are coming from Notre Dame?
Little coaching point here. And when you have those interior, if you watch college or the NFL, when you have interior blitzing, it's usually an offensive lineman who's indecisive of who he's blocking, whether he's going to chase that slant guy or he's going to wait for that linebacker. And by his indecisiveness, he screws the running back. Because that running back has to get up there and if he's blocking that linebacker, and then all of a sudden that lineman blocked, and he has to go and work back on this guy who's pinching, you put your running back at a real disadvantage. And that happened to us in the middle of that game last week against Boise, and they did clean it up by the end of the game, thank God. But that Notre Dame has been looking at that and licking their chops, saying, because their strength, they have a very, very good defensive line, and their whole point is they want pressure with those 4 or 5 guys. But if they need to start bringing guys, they feel as if they can after watching that Boise step. So we better be on top of our game as the offensive line and running backs and quarterback in regards to blitz pickup.
Yeah, if there were one complaint I would have with Drew Aller's game against Boise, and certainly he missed some throws, I think, and Goon, I love the Woody Hayes quote, there are 3 things that can happen when you throw the football, and 2 of them are bad. Yeah. Well, when you choose to throw the football, there are a series of different bad things that can happen. And I do give Drew credit. I think there were times where he realized with the game Penn State was playing, the one thing you couldn't do was put the ball in jeopardy and risk a turnover. And so when he realized that the play was over, he just ate the sack, which is not ideal, but it's preferable certainly to a situation where maybe the ball gets knocked out. I thought there were some plays when, to your point, Nick Dawkins and Sal Wormley just did not have a great night in making the right decisions and handling the Boise blitz. I thought there were plays in those situations where an outlet pass was there and he either didn't see it or he thought he could maybe hold the ball a little bit longer than he was actually able to, and he passed it over. But there were a few swing passes to the running backs and once or twice an outlet to Tyler Warren when he wasn't the primary read on the play, where I think he could have gotten the ball out and avoided an incompletion or a sack. So I'm sure they'll be taking a look at that in tape. And I was talking about it with some folks at the cheese shop this morning because, again, like you, Ironhead, everywhere I go, that's what people want to talk to me about, which is great. I love it.
Yep.
And one of the guys I was talking to made the great point that last year that was the knock on Drew. All he does is check down. This is Captain Check Down. And then last week, there were a few times you maybe would have wished he just took the check down pass.
He held the ball too long.
Holding the ball too long, throwing incompletion or whatever. Let me ask you guys this, talking about Penn State's offense matching up against Notre Dame's defense. And the flip side, of course, when you're bringing that pressure is that you are potentially susceptible in the run game. Do you guys, if you had to pick one, do you think this is a Nick Singleton game tonight or a Katron Allen game? And why?
I don't decide either one. I mean, I just see our run game as our run game. Sorry. That's just me. I mean, we need to run the ball. I mean, that's the thing.
That's good radio, Goon. Thanks for playing along. I appreciate it.
You don't ask me my key to the game, but, I mean, when it comes to either one of those, I truly see them. I don't see them as thunder and lightning. Do you? Do you see them as bruisers and one?
I mean, to some extent, but especially the way Allen is running right now. No, it's not your traditional thunder and lightning deal.
Yeah. I mean, I do think I think it's a little more thunder with K-Tron and a little more lightning. But yeah, I don't think it's like the one's just speed and the other's just power. They both have a little bit of the combination. The way I would answer it, and I think it's very similar to what we saw in the Boise State game, at least in my mind, where like Nicholas Singleton brought it home, but Katron Allen to me was really the MVP of the game. Nothing against Tyler Warren, and certainly Warren in my mind is the MVP of the season. But that game was Katron Allen's running and
he was thunder
the ball, yes, and bringing that play after play. I think the ideal recipe for Penn State's ultimate success tonight. Yeah, I think it's more Katron Allen, pound it. If you're asking me my preference, I want the carries to be pretty close to even, but I'd lean a little more heavily on Katron Allen. But in that fourth quarter, if it's still a tight game, I think I want to see a little more of Nicholas Singleton because, again, that I just get the feeling it's going to be a big play somewhere along the way. It doesn't necessarily mean it'll be in the final couple of minutes. I think a big play somewhere along the way is at least going to go a long way toward determining the outcome of this contest.
Going to sound weird, Booch, but I think that a lot of a run game, I think they're sitting on Allen Singleton for sure. We're sitting on their running backs for sure. So my key to the game is the quarterback run game, and I think Riley Leonard's very good at that personally, but I think that the key to the game is who throws for more yards from our quarterback position. But I do not take out of account that I think that Aller can run for some yards tonight. And I know that we're a little skeptical with, not having Prabula back there as we don't have really confidence in our backup as of yet, because of what happened with Bo. But I think that Drew his legs might actually have a say in this game.
I don't know. I think the backup, Tyler Warren's been pretty solid with his throws here.
He probably has as many snaps as Perbola did.
Well, I'll first answer my own question to say that I think if I had to, and look, Goon, you're probably right. I think we're going to continue to benefit from having both of these guys who now, by the way, shout out to the both of them. Yes, more games. Yes, more carries, but all-time leader in Penn State history in terms of rushing yards accrued for a tandem of running backs. So they moved past Franco Harris and Lydell Mitchell, and whatever qualifiers you want to put on it, man, that is great company to be mentioned with. So congratulations to both of them. It's been a pleasure to watch them wear the blue and white. I think it's maybe a little bit more of a Nick Singleton game, only in that the way Penn State matches up against this Irish defense, I don't think you're going to find a ton of success getting Nick to the outside like we have maybe in some other games. I think you got to crease him. And that's where the vulnerabilities are going to be. And Nick Singleton's the guy that you make the mistake to let that man see a little bit of daylight, and all of a sudden you look at his back. So I do think Nick could have a big night tonight. He was down to Penn State and Notre Dame in his final two. And that might be a little extra motivation for him as he's playing for a chance to go represent the Nittany Lions in the national title game.
Absolutely. You see a lot of those pictures. You see them all and Drew Aller and their Notre Dame recruiting picks. That's actually the funny thing you see when these guys go on their recruiting trips and they take pictures in the Florida Gator uniform, and then 4 years later, well, you're watching pictures of them.
Guys, just think about this. What if I could go back in time, let's say 5 years, we'll go back to the 2019 season, and I would tell you that we would be here talking about news about whether or not a key defensive player for Penn State was going to be able to go in the playoff semifinals. And the best information we had on it was his agent, Drew Rosenhaus, discussing it with Pat McAfee.
How about it? It is. There are so many things. I think we spent a show talking about this.
I got to ruin my day, Butch. I got to ruin my day. We're having a good conversation.
But the things that have, not just in sports, but in society in general, the things in the 80s, like if you could do the whole, time machine thing and just take somebody from, the late 80s and put them just boom into today, it's like, right, we've legalized marijuana in a lot of the states. Okay, yeah. Right, we're paying players, like actually openly paying players.
We have a playoff.
Right. I mean, go down the list societally, sports-wise, that people just would not be able to get their heads around. Speaking of getting your heads around and kind of the staying with the Penn State and considering other things. This is just something that, again, I spent a lot of time trying to think about what others are thinking about in these situations. And I get it, and I understand why, being a head coach of a program, it is your program, and even as an assistant coach. The Al Golden story here and the impact on this game is fascinating to me because – again, you have two of the best defenses in the country. There's just no doubt about that. And I think you have two of the best defensive coordinators in the country as a result of that. But and Al Golden is all in, obviously, on Notre Dame. This is his defense, his baby. There's no part of him that's like, let's boy, I want Notre Dame to win, but it'd be nice to see my alma mater. No.
Yeah, Al, I would love to see you take a dive for the glory, buddy.
Yes, come on, help your old school out. But it is fascinating as, again, a person that grew up all of my life as a Penn State fan, living in the backyard, following the program. Like, I personally, and again, I understand it, and I'm not, this isn't, don't misunderstand this as me saying Al Golden is betraying Penn State. I think about it with Cale Sanderson. Cale Sanderson was legendary at Iowa State. Owes Iowa State a lot for what that school did for him and in providing the opportunity and all of that. But obviously, he is all in on Penn State and then some. And now it is an interesting dynamic to me when you have players that carve out very special careers in a place and then go on and have, and again, there's a number of them. This certainly is not any kind of weird aberration. This is happening all of the time, all throughout sports. It is fascinating to me as somebody that I can't imagine me going and broadcasting for another school. It just, it wouldn't mean as much anyway. I guess I probably would do it if the, circumstances arose and say, wow, this is your only opportunity. And I'm sure I'd get close to the kids and all of that. But man, there'd be a part of me that I just can't let go of that allegiance. It just is, that angle is just interesting to me, especially, Al Golden obviously put in and wanted to be the head coach when everything went down. And so again, there's a lot of interesting storylines here, but the kind of the thought process and, just wondering if there's a moment there where Al Golden allows himself to think, man, I just wonder what it would have been like had I been the head coach of Penn State.
Well, I think it's funny that Al had the game-tying touchdown against Notre Dame to upset them in 1990. Yeah, he's the one. It is a great picture of him, and I think my little brother told me that Notre Dame actually had that picture painted and framed for Al with one of those you're one of us now and stuff like that. But it was, I played with Al for a year. I was a senior captain in 1991. Just a great dude, through and through Penn State. Yeah. But as well as I do, he wants to kick the living crap out of Penn State tonight. There's no doubt. That's just the competitor in him. But yeah, he's going to look across the field. It's going to be the Dabo Swinney and looking across the field playing against Alabama and thinking about wow, I was in the Crimson back in the day, and you get through that. But it is a very cool thing, and I love what Al has always been a class guy. He, like I said, a great team leader when I was a freshman. Just always says the right thing because he means it. He's a sincere. He's a Jersey guy, so it comes from the heart with him. And he talks about Joe a lot. He really does. He had to, he played for Joe. He did a year or two on the staff with Joe. And then, Al was one of the first guys to actually branch out. Had some offers and this and that, and he left. He didn't fall into the, I'm going to stay here at Penn State forever and be the coach forever, because Al wanted to be a head coach type of thing. And he was up for it twice, 12 and 14. So there may be that aspect of him saying, maybe I should have gotten a job 10 years ago instead of James. And this is my chance to have a little bit of revenge on him, on Penn State type of thing for not hiring me. But that's a fickle response. And I don't think that's not really how he is. He's a competitor. He wants to go out there and shut Penn State out, whether he was a Penn State alum, whether he was a Penn State head coach or not. That's just a competitor. That's Al in general. So I'm every time I see him, I'm so happy and so proud for him with what he has done and how the success he's having at Notre Dame.
Yep, and I hope he coaches a lousy game tonight.
I hope he completely. I hope he's one of the people. Boots, did you hear that?
I echo everything you said.
Now
nothing but bad sports.
Nothing but bad. Nothing but bad. I guess that the rumors are now that Notre Dame has the food poisoning now. Yesterday, the
That's
rumors
what they're saying.
Around. They're saying that Penn State had it. I was hearing stuff yesterday that Penn State had some food poisoning, and now today the one I saw. I showed Ironhead. Somebody said that, but it's mostly backups and special teams guys. My answer was, well, I'm glad the flu realized who's a starter and who's not at Notre Dame. It just picks and chooses. I guess they get different meals, maybe.
They give the rancid food to the depth guys.
or Joe Paterno.
You take this.
Hey, send plane 3 down. If they make it, we'll follow. Have the backup snapper try this food over here. Oh man, wow. Booch, I need a prediction, Bubba. You want to stay on a little bit more, or what do you got?
I'll hang for one more segment, sure. Why not?
Okay,
like we said, we got to kill time, right? Keep our minds off this thing.
That is a fact. We'll take a break here. We are back with much more on the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show. We are here at Quaker Steak and Lube. This would be a wonderful place to come on down and watch said semifinal game tonight. A little after 7:30 on ESPN. We're coming right back.
Coast into fall with a new Kia from Lion Country Kia. Right now, get a 24 Kia Seltos for 5.25% APR for up to 48 months. A new Sportage plug-in hybrid at 0.9% APR. Check out our 23 Sorrento hybrid for as low as 4.5% APR. And don't forget, all 2023 and 2024 Kias come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. Stop in and meet with one of our sales experts today and coast fast into fall at Lion Country Kia. We want to see you in a Kia.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
Get our Best Wings USA, signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
I'm the Modelo Recruiter, and I'm looking for fans with good hands and great speed. The ones who stay focused and never miss a play. They go the distance on game day, even when their team is away. I'm always watching, always looking to reward more full-time fans. Because football isn't really football without you.
A lot has changed about State College. One thing that hasn't is W.C. Clark's Coffee Roasters on 234 East Calder Way. 30 different varieties of specialty coffee beans sourced from over 25 countries and roasted with love each morning in Happy Valley for over 45 years. They'll ship their fresh roasted coffee from their doorstep to yours. Order online at statecollegecoffee.com. That's statecollegecoffee.com.
Two of the top names in local printing have combined to serve you better. King Printing of State College has merged with theprinters.com, forming one of the 400 largest printers in America. Combining traditional offset printing and digital workflow techniques, theprinters.com can print, assemble, package, and ship to anywhere in the world, all with the same high quality customers have known and trusted for over 50 years. Buy local and save. Get started today at theprinters.com.
Lusk & Associates Sotheby's International Realty proudly presents the introduction of our new State College office at 314 South Borough Street in State College. At Sotheby's International Realty, we advertise locally, nationally, and internationally, bringing the best of advertising and promotion to each and every one of our properties, big or small. Call now.
With a Timber Kids savings account, you can start to save money, earn prizes, and teach your kids the value of savings. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. Building futures is what we do at TFCU.
You really need to belong to a credit union. You belong at TFCU, Timberland Federal Credit Union, a credit union you can grow with.
WFXX, once again, the Fox, your sports radio.
Broadcasting live, loud and proud from Central PA's Sports Authority, WFXS America.
98.7, the Fox, State College, the Goon and Ironhead.
We welcome you back here on the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show at Quaker Steak and Lube.
Hello.
Again, watching all of the preview stuff, nothing but preview stuff seemingly today on the sports channels with Penn State and Notre Dame again a little after 7:30 tonight. And then, of course, tomorrow night it is Texas taking on Ohio State a little after 7:30 as well, the Cotton Bowl down in Arlington. And then we'll get ready for a national championship game on January 20th in Atlanta.
Pretty big day that day.
Yeah.
It's MLK
couple
Day,
things going on.
Trump's inauguration, and the national title. Wow.
Again, Goon and I are at Quaker Steak and Lube, our home away from home on Tuesday and Thursday afternoons. Joined today by Chris Buchanani, who's checking in via a Zoom link. And have a question. What do you think about Carter's status? At least get him in there situationally. Obvious passing downs as a spy if he's not 100%. I don't know. I'm getting the sense. I don't know if he's 100%. I'm getting the sense he's a lot closer to that than maybe we've been led to believe. I think he's going to play well, and maybe not out there all of the time, but I think it's going to be pretty darn close to it.
Sure.
That's what I'm expecting going in.
So I'm watching him. I mean, you ask Butcher. I mean, you watch it was his left arm that's bad. So I would predominantly play him on the right side in a stand-up position.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's really an option with our defense because they do have him floating around a whole bunch. But I mean, I'd rather not have his left arm in the dirt. I mean, from a stand-up position, I think there's a little less pressure on a separated shoulder. I guess we've come to the conclusion that it is a separated shoulder. That's what I was told. I hope it's that because there's not much more structurally you can do. You just got to play through that a little bit, where it's not like a tear or any sort that will hurt you long term. So that's a good thing. So if it is a separated shoulder, then he's just going to get through the pain, and you'll say a significant lack of strength in that, but so that makes him a 9.5 out of 10 player now,
Right. Well, and his key role in the defense can be to nullify Riley Leonard as a run threat. And if you can do that, that goes a long way, man, towards containing this Notre Dame offense, which is not exactly what you would describe as explosive. And in terms of standing him up versus putting his hand in the dirt, I mean, we've seen what he can do in that regard throughout his career. He's done that this season. And I am excited to see what the young freshman Max Granville could do in limited snaps. I thought Amin Vanover played very, very well in the Fiesta Bowl. And so I am not sweating, since it seems like we're going to have denied Dennis Sutton full go. I am not sweating the pass rush, even if they can't line Abdul up on the edge in the front four. And if you do need to spell those guys, and you do have Smith, Vilbert, and Deny to go along with Amin, who I think has just been really playing well the second half of the season, but stood out against Boise. I think Granville's ready to go. I don't think you want to play him a ton of snaps, but he's looked pretty good in the limited action he has had, and then been buzzing about him since he stepped on campus in the summer. So, sometimes these freshmen, Goon, as you know, they don't know what they don't know. And the best time to deploy them is in a big moment, because they just kind of default to their natural ability and they make plays. So I think that could be Max tonight.
I think that was probably the Boise State game was throwing him into the fire right there, where he's probably gotten all the one snaps this week and he's had chance of thinking about it. And then I would say having the whole week to think about it and practice as the one, learning the defense, get more confident in what he's going to be doing, huge. But what you just said is also true, and that is if you're not ready, if you're not expected to go out there and play, and then you get thrown in there, and then it's just like your intuitions take over, and you go back to the natural state of the game and just play hard and do what your ability is, play to your ability. I mean, you'd be amazed at what you could do out there. And like I've told Jeff many times, and Booch, you've heard me say this, that like, when you've had time to practice, which we have had time to practice and waiting for Notre Dame, and you know what they're going to be doing, and you've seen everything that they can do, that when you're well coached and you're confident in your abilities, the game's slow. It's a slowed down game with what's going on out there, and I don't think that he's going to a freshman's not going to go out there and feel that like urge and that rush to, like, oh my God, I'm out here playing in front of 100 million people type of thing. I don't think he's going to have that, because he's had 8 days to plan this and get ready to play. And if Abdul does play and he plays 50% of the time, and we're playing a backup 50% of the time, I'm okay with that. But I'd like what you said, Booch. I mean, if there gets an issue with Riley Leonard, we're having issues with him escaping out of the pocket, then you know what? Then you move Rojas and Kobe King around a little bit, and you put you put Abdul in the middle and just say, hey, you're spying right now, man.
Yep.
We'll put 4 other guys out there. We can make things happen out there. There's a lot of different things we can do. And with Abdul having the role as a defensive end and being a linebacker from the start, from when he came here, it's not going to be that hard for him to do.
We've talked a lot about the similarities between the teams. And one of the things that I think both programs have done a very good job of is building their depth and understanding the importance of getting that depth to becoming a legit national title contender. And I think the fact that we are sitting here with straight faces, and I honestly believe it as well, that and again, I really think Abdul Carter is going to play and play well and play a lot. But while it would be a blow to that defense, it really would not shake my confidence in Penn State's ability to go out and win this game if Abdul Carter is just a late scratch and it's like, you know what, he was going to give it a go. Again, do I think it's going to make it tougher? Yes. I don't want to make it sound like, oh, no, it's no big deal if Abdul Carter's not out there. It's a big deal. But, man, the depth that this team has built, and again, Notre Dame, this is not the same Notre Dame team that started the season. That they have gone through more than their fair share of injuries. And even with Jeremiah Love, again, difference maker for sure. Do you want him out there if you're Notre Dame? Yep. And you want to get him his carries. You'll take him even if it's limited. But again, if he doesn't play it all tonight, it's like, Notre Dame's, what are they going to do? They have no other answer. No, they've got depth there at running back. I just think it speaks volumes about what both these coaching staffs, both these programs have been able to do to where you can lose significant pieces like that or potentially lose them. And again, they've both lost significant pieces throughout the course of the season, and they're both sitting here in the national semifinal.
Now, with that being said, about the freshman coming in, Bucci, is that Notre Dame's had him on film. They can scout him a little bit more, and maybe he played 35 plays last week against Boise. They may see some weaknesses on him and decide, okay, when we see him, we run right at him and we got to make him decide that he's going to be able to stop the run. I would say, that's what I would do as a coach. I have a younger guy out there who, if Abdul's not playing and we have young guys out there, make them prove themselves. You have a very good offensive line. That is the strength of Notre Dame. So they will test our defensive line as fast as they possibly can.
Yeah, I think that's right. I don't worry too much about that, only because I don't think they're going to have to play him that many snaps. I think they can use him in a very limited regard.
If Abdul plays.
Right. Irrespective of whether or not he plays, they may work him into the rotation. It's really going to depend, I think. I think I'm with Ironhead. I think for sure he's going to play. The question is, do they have him on a limited pitch count? And if they say, okay, we're going to go into this, I've heard it suggested. Now, there's a lot of smoke out there. If you want my tinfoil hat theory, I think they put that big knee brace on Jeremiah Love this week because they knew the press was going to be in filming that practice. They wanted that footage to get out.
Yep.
That said, I have heard it rumored that he is going to be limited. Like, he is going to be on a tight snap count. He might be capped somewhere around 15 snaps. Again, like Noble said on Obligatory this week, drugs are wonderful things, and you're in the playoff semifinal. I think if these guys are ambulatory, they're going to find a way to play.
If they can't do any more structural damage.
Correct. Yes.
If there is structural damage, that could be a possibility that the drugs don't work. That's not a drug thing. That is a structural issue. So that's
right.
That.
Right. And so if you're looking at a situation where they say, okay, we have a limited number of plays that we feel comfortable rolling Abdul Carter out there, then yeah, I think the opportunity for Granville's role to expand is there. I also think Tony Rojas could end up being the spy. I mean, I think he could capably step into that role if they need him to do that.
Honestly, DeLuca has done everything they've asked of him. I mean, I know he's a little smaller out there, but he would get swallowed up in the interior of the offensive line. But
listen, I would love no story would make me happier, Goon, than a Penn State linebacker from northeastern Pennsylvania shutting down Notre Dame's quarterback in a big bowl game.
Just popping him.
Yep.
And getting up and wearing his NEPA sweatshirt, the whole clothing line he's rocking right now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there'd be a lot of Catholic school kids, former Catholic school kids drinking in bars up there in Schuylkill County, cussing at the TV.
Do they actually have any other schools in Catholic? I mean, I think they teach Catholicism in the public schools up there. Come on now, there's two classes up there: firefighting and beer drinking.
That's about right.
Well, Butch, we got what, 10 minutes here? I mean, you got any? I mean, let's get into your predictions. What are you thinking offensively, defensively? We got a lot of questions out there. Who's playing? Who's not playing? Are we going to run the ball? Are we going to pass the ball? What's your game plan? And then give me your prediction.
Yeah, I do think it's going to be. I feel like it's going to be a close game. I actually do. I'm feeling pretty good. I like this team, man. I believe in them. When we got started with this playoff run, I said, sometimes you kind of feel it in your bones, man. You can just kind of feel a good run coming. And I feel like we're on that. I think I picked on Obligatory, I think I picked 27-23. Most of the predictions I have heard in either direction have been in that 3-4 point range. I think that's probably going to be it, which is not going to be great for my nerves or anyone's, but
nope.
That is what it is. You want a great game. You want a game that you're going to remember and talk about forever. In terms of how do you attack their defense, for as good as they are, and for as good a defensive coordinator as Al Golden has proven to be, and he earned his way into the finalist list for the Broyles Award this year. I do think when you go back and you look at the schedule they have played, and you know, we all say this, you can only play who's on your schedule. At the beginning of the year, USC and Florida State looked like they were going to be great tests for them. And we know that didn't turn out to be the case. And then the service academies had much better seasons than everyone expected, but just in terms of who they are at the line of scrimmage and what they can do in the passing game, they had great seasons for service academies. They were not the measure of a Final Four playoff type team. So really, what are their best wins on their schedule? Certainly going down to College Station and beating Texas A&M was big, but we saw Texas A&M's flaws are the same as kind of they ever are, and that was the first game of the season. So nobody's the same team they are even midway through the year in game one. And then there's Louisville, which was a one-score win, a touchdown win for the Irish against a team that couldn't play a lick of defense to save its life. But what they could do, what all those Jeff Brom teams can do, is throw the ball. And if you look at every team Notre Dame has played, including having to go up against backup quarterbacks for the Trojans, who did move the ball on them, and then Georgia last week, they've been not faced with an offense that can test them down the field or really just hurt them, generally speaking, in the passing game. And when I look at what Penn State is doing at the line of scrimmage, which is music to my ears, and I'm sure, Goon, to yours as well.
I'm
and
not
to hear
what's that? I'm not crying. You are.
How about it? How about it? It's been a long time coming. To hear no less an authority than Nick Saban go on national television and start praising our offensive line. And what I think about that group, their experience, their ability, what a great job Trout's done coaching them up. And then I think about Drew Aller, advantage Penn State at the quarterback spot, two healthy tailbacks who are playing their best football in the postseason, and Tyler Warren. And also, by the way, not for nothing, you're playing that man coverage single high safety, what Trey Wallace, I think, can do in one-on-one matchups against this defense, which just has not been tested against a potent passing offense. I think the Nittany Lions are going to surprise a lot of people with the success they have through the air. And I think Drew Aller is about due for a really nice signature game. And 60-some degrees in nice Florida weather sounds like a pretty nice environment for that to happen. Wouldn't you agree?
For sure. I also think that everybody seemingly is agreeing that the trench play is going to be key, and there's no question that the numbers are pretty similar in terms of what both teams have been able to do running the football, both running for over 200 yards a game, neither playing a consistently great schedule. Penn State coming up short against its best two opponents. I do think there's been a little and again, this is hard to say definitively, but I think there's been a little overvaluing of Notre Dame and its win over Georgia. I do think Georgia has a good football team this year, but I think we have a hard time, all of us as sports fans, separating the brand from a particular year's team.
Here's the fact of the matter, Ironhead. The majority of the guys who earned Georgia the reputation that Notre Dame has been trading off on all week, they're all suiting up in midnight green in the Link on Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, listen,
it's true.
In addition to that, we keep going back and did Indiana deserve to be there? Did Alabama or Ole Miss? I'm just telling you, I think Boise State and Georgia would be a really intriguing football game this year. That defensive line of Georgia, I'm not saying it's a bad line. It is not one of the all-time great college football. Like, they had some lines there where it's like, oh, man, that's just
Jordan Davis ain't walking through that door. Jalen Carter ain't walking through that door.
Like, I think Boise State, I think Penn State is not getting enough credit for what it did against Boise State, and I think Notre Dame is getting too much credit against Georgia. And the one analyst was that I saw breaking down the game was giving Notre Dame credit for having won the game, even though it gave up more yards against Georgia, and in the same breath penalized Penn State for winning the game in which it ultimately gave up more yards, even though garbage time factored into that. I think Penn State has the advantage. I don't think it's a huge advantage. I think Penn State has the advantage at the line of scrimmage. And I think over 4 quarters, what Penn State has done since the Ohio State game, they dialed in, to me, it seems to me, they dialed in on 2 things. And I think it irked them internally more than even that they've let on. And they've let on pretty good that they were not happy about the being out-physicaled by Ohio State down the stretch. It wasn't 4 quarters of Ohio State pushing them around. It was when it came to crunch time, then Ohio State did not allow Penn State into the end zone and pushed its way down the field to put the game away. That, I think, rightfully angered Penn State internally. And I think to a man, they committed, listen, we are going to be a tougher football team. Penn State matched up physically for 3+ quarters against Ohio State. They just didn't do it when it mattered. And I think I think they recommitted to, all right, we are going to do everything we can between now and whenever this season ends to becoming the most physical, the most tough team along the line that we can. And I think they have improved dramatically. Now, whether it's enough, if they get that opportunity, we'll discuss that then. But I think that has been a real point of emphasis, and I think you've seen it. I think it was a good physical team to begin with. I think it is much more so now from where it was coming out of that Ohio State game. And the other thing I think that they recognized is we are not going to be a national championship program if we don't get something from this receiving corps. We've got to start getting some plays from Omari Evans or Trey Wallace. Like, this can't be just Tyler Warren and the running backs. Now, would I like to see more? Would I like to see more consistency there? Yeah, but man, we've seen it. Like, we have seen those guys make some big plays in some big situations. I think this is the night where all of that pays off. I think that refocus, my term, to those 2 areas in particular that I think this team recommitted to, I think tonight is where that pays off. I think we see the results of that come to fruition.
We've been saying since it happened when we had Nick Tuckles on our show, on the Blue White Players show with Booch and I, and that is that he is a leader. They got beat by Ohio State, but he felt as if they didn't get beat. So they had that confidence, and that confidence has built, like you just said, from that day, that they were like, okay, well, that goal line stuff that we were doing, we got very vanilla. And I think that Kotelnicki, since that day, has really just let it flow. It hasn't. He's done some crazy stuff, which is great, which changes everything up and all this and all that. And it's just a well-led team. They're toughened on the interior. Again, as I said, Boise State, they were struggling really, really hard early in that game and midway through that game with the interior blitzing, which they completely picked that up in the 4th quarter and ran away with that game. This is where you're going to win the game, and that's up front. I mean, Chris, you're not going to believe it, but I'm going to say it comes down to offensive line play. I mean, man, thank God you're sitting down. I know that would have shocked you to the point where you probably fall off if you were standing up, you'd pass out. But no, this one really does. And we can block their front seven, and our front seven can take care and put pressure on that quarterback and knock their running game out. We're running away with this game.
So my final thoughts on this are just, I've said this dozens of times this year. Folks, we are living in the good old days right now. So don't wish away any minute of today. Savor the moment, be in the moment, enjoy it, and cherish the journey. That's more than half the battle. And look, the stakes of this game, fellas, are dizzying if you stop and think about them. So don't look down. Let's just go get it. Now, before I go, just to take our minds off it here, folks, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania is in action in the wild card round this weekend. I got a Steelers fan. I got an Eagles fan. I got to ask you guys how you're feeling about your respective teams come this weekend.
I'll let
Ironhead, half of State College isn't even be able to watch a game because they don't know it's on Amazon Prime yet.
Don't even.
Negative Nelly over here, Booch. Listen to this.
That whole thing has me infuriated. Listen, I think like all of Steelers Nation, the question right now is just who are we going to play in the Super Bowl? We're just waiting to see.
I can tell from all the Steelers fans I've talked to this week.
Oh, yeah. No,
brimming with optimism.
Good in the playoffs. It'll all come together. They've been very strategic with kind of setting everybody else up with these last 4 weeks, not tipping their hand at all, not showing any of the offensive firepower that they have. It's been probably the most genius coaching job Tomlin's pulled off, because now everybody's thinking this offense isn't going to be able to explode the way it's going to Saturday night. Yeah, I have pretty much no confidence in my Steelers. I saw
but he'll be you're a Steelers fan, will be the first one to be like, I knew it.
Yeah. No, if they win.
Exactly.
If they beat Baltimore, then all bets are off. They may very well be going to the Super Bowl, and I'll quickly jump back on that bandwagon. I did see the Athletic put together, for whatever it's worth, the odds of any of the playoff teams making the Super Bowl. The Chiefs, they actually have with the best odds. I get what Kansas City does in the playoffs, and I'm not saying it's far-fetched that they'll be there. I don't think they're going to end up being there. I do think this is the Bills' year.
You think their monkey's paws out of fingers after the way they went through the regular season?
I do, but I think they were at like 25.8% or something like that.
Yeah.
And then it was, Detroit next. I think the Eagles and the Bills were very close next. They were all
Detroit,
in the upper teens. And then the Steelers, they gave a 0.4% chance, by far the worst of any odds. I think Denver had like 0.9.
You're kidding me? They had the Steelers over the Texans, even with how poorly Houston's playing right now.
Yes, yeah. Texans were actually over the Broncos and the Steelers. I think they were next. I'll have to see if I can.
I don't think Houston's getting out of the first round. I think the Chargers are going to beat them in Houston.
I don't think the Broncos are getting out of the first round. So, anyways, I do listen. I think the Eagles.
Oh God!
I think that Eagles-Lions game, and I think that's what's going to come up in the NFC. I think that's going to be a fantastic game. I really do.
Say it. Detroit's going to win. Detroit's going to win. Say it.
I've been calling. I think it's an Eagles-Bills.
We're 1-0 this week, Ironhead. I'm not thinking about the NFC Championship game. Green Bay. Goon, what do you think about this one?
Well, I got to say this. In gambling terms, somebody says it's just as hard to pick 5 losers as it is 5 winners.
Sure.
It's just as hard.
Yeah.
Whereas I truly believe that the Pittsburgh Steelers have cornered the market on picking psychotic wide receivers. I mean, they can do it.
It's crazy. Yeah,
I mean,
it's wild. They're on a generational run for sure.
Part of their draft board is how psycho a wide receiver is and how draftable this psycho receiver is.
I remember when they took Pickens. I I really liked Pickens coming into whatever draft that was 4 years ago. And so he lasts whatever it was, middle, late second round. And I texted my buddy Adamski at the Trib, and I was like, Buzzsaw, like, how did this guy drop to you guys? How did you manage to get him where you did? Now I know why, because teams clearly they did their homework on him, and whatever he brings to the table in terms of his ability, it's getting to the point where he almost cost you that much with the lapses in concentration and with the distractions. If I were a Steelers fan, I would not want him re-signed this offseason.
No, I'm with you. Although
he's just so talented.
There's it's easy to say that when. And if they had a bunch of other stalwart receivers, fine.
Sure.
But man, he is.
The thing is, Ironhead, the way he played last week, you can't even make the Tyreek Hill argument for him.
No.
When you're that type of a personality and then you're not making up for it on the field, that's the easiest way to get drummed out of the league, because the league will put up with a lot off the field, a lot, as long as you're producing. But the minute you're in the minus column in the locker room, and in terms of just what you do to the team culture, and you're dropping balls and you're not executing on plays, you're in the arena league, son.
Yep. No, I'm with you. I'd be glad to see him out the door here.
Coach,
Goon's dodging the Eagles question. You see that? You see the way he artfully dances away from that?
I'm going back to it. That's what I'm saying. I'm going back to it right now. So you've watched a little bit more television than I have today. I'm so zoned in on this Penn State game. But did Hurts practice yesterday? Is he
did. Yes.
Protocol.
Yes, it looks like he's a full go.
Scares me because he hasn't played practice in 3 weeks. Quarterback position, you just don't roll it out there like that. I'm sorry. He's not the type. He's not an Aaron Rodgers where he just go out there and just start zipping balls around.
Yeah.
It scares me a little bit, but I am okay with how McKee played the other day. Him getting, if it is a deficit early in the second quarter, give McKee a series or two. See how
it looks like Kenny Pickett's a full go too, and that he will be the number 2 guy going into the game.
They are going to put Pickett at 2, so I'm just going to go shut up in the corner over here. So
well, no, I listen. If I were objectively assessing it, I would probably actually say that I think body of work, McKee's looked a little bit better. Like I felt I felt comfortable with if Pickett was still dealing with the rib and they couldn't get Jalen out of the concussion protocol, I felt okay going into the first round with Tanner McKee operating that offense. And I know that probably sounds crazy to non-Eagles fans, but as somebody who's watched probably most of his snaps in the preseason over the last couple of years, I was really happy when we drafted him out of Stanford. I think he's the type of guy who can give you like one AJ Feely type performance. There's a pull from Eagles history against the team, a Green Bay team that I think is just kind of at an opposite direction of where they were heading into last year's postseason. Jordan Love is banged up. They're not going to have Christian Watson to stretch the field. I feel very good about Philly having these guys in the Lincolns.
I have an honest question for Ironhead. Would you like Russell Wilson or Kenny Pickett to be leading your team this weekend?
Wilson, and it's still Wilson. And listen, the
they
one
just
thing
hated Kenny, man. They hated Kenny Pickett.
The one thing I am curious to see is whether or not they do rule in some packages here for Justin Fields,
which they absolutely should. Agreed.
Yes, those short yardage situations, and hopefully they have at least a couple of those throughout the 4 quarters against the Ravens. I'm not overly confident we're going to have a lot of third and shorts here.
You guys are a mess at wide receiver. I say go full on back to the Cordell Stewart days. Go full slash. Just get Justin Fields out there in the slot. Send both quarterbacks out in the huddle.
I'm going to start crying over here. He's a Steelers fan. You talk about the pass so much.
I would not be. I would not be opposed to that strategy.
Give him a little Andy Kotelnicki. Why not, man? Pull out all the stops.
And
get Freiermuth. Just throw it to Freiermuth 15 to 20 times, and let's see what we can do. Fields with his feet. Freiermuth is the primary passing option.
Lamar. They don't match up.
Yeah. We'll see.
Don't be that team that lets them go off on you. Come on, Ironhead. Jeez, I
If
can't
it
believe the
was up to
negativity,
me,
man. The
if
negativity.
only it were up to me.
What would Jack Lambert do?
Boots, enjoy the game tonight. Enjoy the playoffs this
You
weekend.
boys do. Yeah.
And appreciate your joining the show today. We'll take a break here.
Let's go get this one. Survive in advance.
Go Penn State, go Birds.
Final wrap here from Quaker Steak and Lube coming up.
Coast into fall with a new Kia from Lion Country Kia. Right now, get a 24 Kia Seltos for 5.25% APR for up to 48 months. A new Sportage plug-in hybrid at 0.9% APR. Check out our 23 Sorrento hybrid for as low as 4.5% APR. And don't forget, all 2023 and 2024 Kias come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. Stop in and meet with one of our sales experts today and coast into fall at Lion Country Kia. We want to see you in a Kia.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Get our Best Wings USA, signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
I'm the Modelo Recruiter, and I'm looking for fans with good hands and great speed. The ones who stay focused and never miss a play. They go the distance on game day, even when their team is away. I'm always watching, always looking to reward more full-time fans. Because football isn't really football without you.
A lot has changed about State College. One thing that hasn't is W.C. Clark's Coffee Roasters on 234 East Calder Way. 30 different varieties of specialty coffee beans sourced from over 25 countries and roasted with love each morning in Happy Valley for over 45 years. They'll ship their fresh roasted coffee from their doorstep to yours. Order online at statecollegecoffee.com. That's statecollegecoffee.com.
Two of the top names in local printing have combined to serve you better. King Printing of State College has merged with theprinters.com, forming one of the 400 largest printers in America. Combining traditional offset printing and digital workflow techniques, theprinters.com can print, assemble, package, and ship to anywhere in the world, all with the same high quality customers have known and trusted for over 50 years. Buy local and save. Get started today at theprinters.com.
Lusk & Associates Sotheby's International Realty proudly presents the introduction of our new State College office at 314 South Borough Street in State College. At Sotheby's International Realty, we advertise locally, nationally, and internationally, bringing the best of advertising and promotion to each and every one of our properties, big or small. Call now.
With a Timber Kids savings account, you can start to save money, earn prizes, and teach your kids the value of savings. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. Building futures is what we do at TFCU.
You really need to belong to a credit union. You belong at TFCU, Timberland Federal Credit Union, a credit union you can grow with.
Get up and get going with the Happy Valleys 98.7 The Fox. The Goon and Ironhead.
And we are getting you ready for Penn State Notre Dame tonight in the Orange Bowl, a little after 7:30 on ESPN. Yeah, not a prime game for the college football playoffs, unlike my beloved Steelers on Saturday. Boy, I wish I could get excited about that. You'd think you'd be excited. Playing your long rival.
I'm disappointed
by the way,
in
the
you.
Steelers have had their number for the most part, but the most recent
So
game,
you can't gloat Tuesday.
Not.
You cannot. You're not allowed to gloat on Tuesday if they win. No,
so
it's not
much.
allowed.
Oh, I will be gloating. I will be gloating.
See, the
big
difference
time.
in the Eagles fan and the Steelers fan. The Eagles fans, we could be 30-point underdogs, and they're going to talk crap. we're going to kick your and then the Steelers, that's just how they are.
Not true.
And then when they do it, they're going to go, "Told you so," or they do win, then they start throwing. They start throwing fists.
You're out.
If they do lose by 30,
Eagles
they say,
fans
"Well,
are as fickle as any fan base, maybe more."
no,
than
they're
any
delusional,
fan
is
base
what
out
they
there.
are.
Well, there's that too, but no, they know
That's a
when
big
they're
one.
bad. They turn on their guys.
Oh, well, no. Well, when it comes to a
as
playoff
anybody.
game, they're going to win every playoff game by 30 points, even if a 40-point
Not when
underdog.
they're not when they're going in on a 4-game losing skid and dysfunction in the locker room.
I'd like
the whole
to.
bit.
I'm actually happy that the Eagles are the ones that started that downward spiral. I was actually very happy for that, Alan, and thank you for the Bud Light. It was very much appreciated for that game. It got me through a very, very warm, time in Warren County, Pennsylvania. It was really, really hot over the Christmas holidays up there. So, yeah.
Yeah, we did have a question earlier. Penn State seemed to struggle against the blitz against Boise. Boise State, how difficult is it to get the blitz protection adjusted, considering how frequently Al Golden likes to blitz? We talked about it a little bit, but
of course. Well, I mean, I was going to look at that Boise State game and see how much pressure they got, and they confused our interior line in that game. Now, again, they cleaned it up by the end of the game, but Al saw some stuff that he's going to exploit. We do play a little bit high on. We are. I always say this. You saw that picture I took of me and Tyler Warren at that event. Yes. And I said, "How big is Tyler Warren?" He is literally eye to eye with me. I'm 6'7". He's 6'6". It's amazing how tall the man is. You put him on that field next to those offensive linemen, and it's nothing. We have an enormous offensive line. When your center is 6'5", 325-pound Nick Dawkins, that is a hell of a big offensive line. Very, very big offensive line. So, yes, we play a little bit high. Okay, so the interior games may get to us a little bit, and it did against Boise, but, Phil Troutwain has seen exactly what Al Golden has seen, and that he has been hammering those guys this week with blitz pickup. He's got to clean that up, or Al will exploit the living hell out of that.
Yeah, the other thing they need to clean up, and I think we talked about this on Tuesday a bit, but the unforced errors.
Yes.
You can't
offensively and defensively.
Yeah, and again, I don't want to pick on Drew Shelton. That was just not a good game overall for him against Boise State. But this is one of the things. So, but it hasn't been like an ongoing all season long issue. And one of the things, it's just this game is so fascinating for so many different reasons, and it's going to be fun to watch. And it's why, again, we're overanalyzing at this point, and that's what we do. You want to talk about it, we want to break it down, but we've talked about it how often, Goon, that every game is a season unto itself, and sometimes it's just matchups in 1 week, and it can be against a lesser opponent, but it's just, man, that guy does something, or again, Shelton just seemed a little off, but it just had a couple of pre-snap penalties, all that. Tonight, maybe he plays
Nolan
the
did too.
game of his life.
Nolan did too.
So tonight, maybe they play the game of their lives. Well, Rucci played he had some mistakes, but he had a great game.
Yes,
overall.
he did. But there were mistakes though.
Yeah.
And interior, there were some hands to the face, some interior holds.
So I think you just got to see how this game plays out in the moment. I do think. I think that Notre Dame blitz package and what Penn State's offensive line does, the adjustments they make and how they pick it up, is one of the really compelling stories within the story tonight. We talked about it earlier. You're not going to know until you see how this thing play out. But it's something that obviously Notre Dame goes into the game wanting to exploit, and Penn State knows it has to clean up from what happened against Boise State. Yep. Now, do I think Notre Dame's personnel overall is better than Boise State? I do, considerably. And so, again, you can clean up the scheme and still get physically beat. And you just got to see how that plays out.
You heard what I just said about the interior play of us playing high because we are such bigger people as an offensive line. It's just going to sound weird, but it's a difference of a couple inches. And Boise State is Boise State, and Notre Dame is Notre Dame because they have the 6'5" defensive tackles versus Boise State having a 6'2" defensive tackles. I'm not I'm not, it is what it is. They are a high Division I blue blood. They have larger men who are bigger, stronger, faster than Boise State, where I think that they match up well with us. It is going to be, win, lose, or draw, this is going to be one of the great games, I think, in Penn State history, because I just love the matchup. And I love playing Notre Dame. I don't like Notre Dame. I like people from Notre Dame. I don't like Notre Dame. They're like the Steelers to me. Yeah. I respect the Steelers organization, but I hate the Steelers fans. That goes for you, Weiser, back there. That goes for you, Alan. But, the Notre Dame, it's where I grew up. So right down there is the Subway, the Subway Catholic Army for Notre Dame. Never being put on campus, but they're huge Notre Dame fans with their Irish tattoos on their calves. It is what it is. This is going to be an unbelievable game because there are two blue blood programs who universally are, they're good, strong programs, and they're good. When Notre Dame and Penn State are good, it's good for college football. And now we have two blue bloods going at it tonight, two blue bloods going at it tomorrow night. We got to get into those predictions too. And I just think that the health of college football is amazing right now. I think it's over with the SEC complaining. Paul Feinbaum can shut the hell up finally. About all, who made it, who didn't make it. Honest to God, he would start up. If Penn State loses by 30 points tonight, it's going to start up. They played nobody. We told you this and that SEC. It just means, and I don't want to hear that. I don't think that's going to be I think tonight is going to be one of the great games in both programs' histories, in college football history. It's going to be, we historically have unbelievable great times at the Orange Bowl, take away 1985. But you're playing Notre Dame. It means so much to people in this area. It means so much to people in the Philadelphia area, in Pittsburgh. It's like you either like Pittsburgh, Notre Dame, or Penn State when you're from Pittsburgh, correct? You like Pitt, Notre Dame, Penn State. In Philadelphia, it's Notre Dame and Penn State. That's it. So just a huge, huge game in my world. But I love the matchup between the two teams because they are so similar. Class programs, class coaches, class fans. It's going to be an awesome game. Penn State by 7.
They're showing highlights from the Mayo Bowl. Can I just completely go off topic for just a moment? But my kiddo and I both have an aversion to mayonnaise.
So do I.
Would you want to be the winning coach in the Mayo Bowl? Like, I think I would just decline the invite. No, we're good. We'll just sit out the bowl season this year.
I'm going to play the Rotten Tomato Bowl.
If we go, I think I tell my team
prediction.
Maybe keep it close, but let's not win this thing. That's like horrible punishment. It should be the losing coach that has to get dumped in Mayo. The winning coach, that is not a reward. You should not be getting Mayo.
Oh, by the way, I have another. Speaking of trophies, have you seen the pictures that go around of the Orange Bowl trophy? The big old thing with the big glass bucket full of oranges. They are real oranges, by the way. And then it's a funny story. When we won that game in 2005, I was talking to Franny Gaynor, and he was in charge of all the facilities. He's like, you'd be amazed at how much 24 fake oranges cost. You would be absolutely amazed. First of all, you got to find somebody who makes oranges to put into that trophy because they were real oranges that are in that trophy. You'd think that the Orange Bowl would say, hey, these are plastic Johns, but
well, I mean,
just
you're in for
I'm telling you, man. I hear it in your voice too. The anticipation of this game, just being one of the great games that we're waiting for, and literally the whole country is watching. Every high school recruit in the country is watching this game. This is a place for Penn State to really say, you know what, we are truly back. We are an elite program. That has been a knock on us for how long now that James hasn't beaten any really top tier teams but one team in Ohio State back in 2016. You win the night, it's all back, baby. It's all back. And everything's all copacetic, baby.
I'm going to work backwards on my predictions from Sunday to tonight. Sunday, I think the Eagles handle the Packers.
Okay.
I think they win it by at least 2 touchdowns.
Ooh.
I'll call it 31-14. Philadelphia advances in the playoffs. Also Sunday, I think the Nittany Lion basketball team gets a much-needed bounce-back victory at home over Oregon. On Saturday, unfortunately, I do not see my beloved Steelers. I think this game may be a little closer. I'm hoping to God it's a little closer than what I'm envisioning. So I'll call it Ravens 27, Steelers 17. And I'll actually be somewhat satisfied if that game is that close at the end of the night. Also, on Friday night,
I'd root for the Steelers, by the way. As much as I hate you people, I will still beat you over the Ravens.
The Penn State wrestling team will eke out a win over Michigan State on the Big Ten Network. I also think on Friday night that, yes, Ohio State will defeat Texas. I do think it'll be a little better game than what some are making it out to be, but I have an Ohio State 31, Texas 20.
Very interesting.
And then
tonight.
I think the Pittsburgh Penguins are going to find a way to win this game and beat that. Now, I am so pumped for this game. And I hope it delivers. I really do. I think it will. But I hope it does. I think it is going to be an anxiety-filled night for yours truly. These are the games that just
dream about.
I'm going to try to enjoy it. But during the game itself, I have a feeling I'm going to be miserable because it's going to be, again, there's going to be moments where it's like, all right. And then there's going to be moments like, oh, my God. And I think it's going to be that type of a game right down to the wire. I know a lot of the national prognosticators are going Notre Dame's way. And the primary reasons I've seen are that they are just more trusting of Marcus Freeman, more trusting of Notre Dame coming up with the turnover, which, I mean, again, not unreasonable takes at all. And that, Notre Dame will be able to seize control when it needs to at the line. For all of those reasons, I think Marcus Freeman is a terrific coach. I do think James Franklin's experiences here, I think there's an edge there. Again, we'll see how it plays out. Could be wrong. I think James Franklin has the edge. I think these are both great coaches. I really do. I will say, I really wish, my one wish is I wish this was a Brian Kelly-led Notre Dame team because then I could be full on with my sports hatred. I like Marcus Freeman a lot. I respect the guy. I'd be happy if my kiddo went and played for him. That is a guy that it's hard to dislike.
He's a Buckeye who coaches Notre Dame.
And I still like at the end of the day. I mean,
he is a likable cat. I will give you that.
Yeah, it just seems like a really, really good dude. But I actually do trust James Franklin just a little bit more, not because I think he's necessarily a significantly better coach. I just think he has a lot more experience under his belt, and I think he's learned. I mean, the one thing he has shown over the years is that ability to learn and adjust from things that he's learned. And I just think all of that wealth of experience pays off tonight. I think Penn State at the line of scrimmage will more than hold its own over 4 quarters. And I actually think Penn State, again, Notre Dame has come up with the turnovers all season long when it's needed it. I think Penn State knows how to create those opportunities in the clutch. I think Penn State wins it. I think it is a classic. I think Penn State wins it 27-23.
I got 24-17 Penn State. And another thing that's been it's been talked about is obviously the winner of this game was the first ever African-American to go to coach for a national title game in football.
Yep.
That's great. But also this would give James a 4th of the 6th winning of the main bowls. He's got he has a rose, he has a fiesta, and he's a cotton. You're going to add in the orange tonight, and then we're going to have the Peach Bowl next week, which would be the 5th one, and then he's got to get a New Orleans Sugar Bowl eventually, and that'll be them all. So I like Penn State. 2 blue blood, great programs going at it. It'll be a clean, safe, fun game to watch. I think great place to play. It's pretty funny how dirty these guys get. You watch any history of that Orange Bowl, everybody's always dirty. So the grass kicks up funny. Can't wait for this game. A lot of fans, a lot of people down there. Penn State by 7 in a great, great, great game.
Folks, enjoy it. We will be back with another edition of the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show here from Quaker Steak and Lube next Tuesday. We'll talk about, obviously, this game and all of the NFL playoff action and everything else going on in the world of sports. Until then, be good and be safe. We are.
Coast into fall with a new Kia from Lion Country Kia. Right now, get a 24 Kia Seltos for 5.25% APR for up to 48 months. A new Sportage plug-in hybrid at 0.9% APR. Check out our 23 Sorrento hybrid for as low as 4.5% APR. And don't forget, all 2023 and 2024 Kias come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. Stop in and meet with one of our sales experts today and coast into fall at Lion Country Kia. We want to see you in a Kia.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
Get our Best Wings USA, signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
I'm the Modelo Recruiter, and I'm looking for fans with good hands and great speed. The ones who stay focused and never miss a play. They go the distance on game day, even when their team is away. I'm always watching, always looking to reward more full-time fans. Because football isn't really football without you.
A lot has changed about State College. One thing that hasn't is W.C. Clark's Coffee Roasters on 234 East Calder Way. 30 different varieties of specialty coffee beans sourced from over 25 countries and roasted with love each morning in Happy Valley for over 45 years. They'll ship their fresh roasted coffee from their doorstep to yours. Order online at statecollegecoffee.com. That's statecollegecoffee.com.
Two of the top names in local printing have combined to serve you better. King Printing of State College has merged with theprinters.com, forming one of the 400 largest printers in America. Combining traditional offset printing and digital workflow techniques, theprinters.com can print, assemble, package, and ship to anywhere in the world, all with the same high quality customers have known and trusted for over 50 years. Buy local and save. Get started today at theprinters.com.
Lusk & Associates Sotheby's International Realty proudly presents the introduction of our new State College office at 314 South Borough Street in State College. At Sotheby's International Realty, we advertise locally, nationally, and internationally, bringing the best of advertising and promotion to each and every one of our properties, big or small. Call now.
With a Timber Kids savings account, you can start to save money, earn prizes, and teach your kids the value of savings. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. Building futures is what we do at TFCU.
You really need to belong to a credit union. You belong at TFCU, Timberland Federal Credit Union, a credit union you can grow with.
WFXS, your sports radio.
Broadcasting live, loud and proud from Central PA's Sports Authority, WFXS America.
98.7.